on 26 July 2006, when first time the Mumbai rains were there, I was in Jones Lang LaSalle. Those days, I know, in a very rare kind of collaboration between the two competitors and rivals, international rivals, which is JLL and CBRE, they had joined hands together to ferry some sandwiches, bananas and biscuits in boats to various offices within that Bandra Kurla complex. It was all submerged. For those of you who are not very familiar with these terms, in very simple words to distinguish between blockchain and cryptocurrency, blockchain is like internet and cryptocurrency is like email. So on internet you do many things, one of them is email. Likewise in blockchain you do many things, one of them is cryptocurrency. For example, if your organization there is a attack, cyber attack, and the information is not there, your duty will be as a good BCP is to ensure that the information is protected and it is made available back to you for your regular businesses at the earliest. Now there are no regulatory requirements as such for a BCP. This is just for information. At least in India. In US there are companies who want to excel in different areas, and this is one of the ways. For example, if a company says I have got ISO 22301 certification, that means it will give a kind of a confidence and an assurance to all its customers to say that, please be aware and be assured, be guaranteed that, there will be no disruption at my end. If at all there is a disruption, it will be the minimum disruption compared to my competitors. And that's a great thing. And once you are disrupted, if you are in one of the chain, for example, in the process of A to E, A, B, C, D, E, you are C. And if there is a repeated disruption at your end, then the people will find A, B, and they will go to C1 or C2 or C3, and then D and E. So the market will, exclude you from the process, and that will be to the detriment of your business, because then your business will collapse. It will not sustain for a long time. And to regain that confidence from the people will be very difficult. So to protect the supply chain, also you need a BCP. Whenever business operations are hit, it immediately impacts the finances of the company, because you make profits when the business runs. If the business is disrupted, then you are in trouble. So you don't make any profits at that time, and not making profit can be a huge loss. It's an opportunity cost. In financial terms, it's called an opportunity cost. That is, in a given time, if you had the capability to make money and you do not make, then that is considered as a cost you are paid. That is an opportunity cost of not making profit in that time when everything else was right. You build resilience by having a strong BCP. And the strong BCP is that, you say that I am visualizing that for my site, for my operation, for my organization, for my maybe the geographical location, for the kind of business I am in, for the place where I am located, these are all the possible risks which can happen to me. And see, something beyond can always happen. Nobody can deny that, because we don't know the 100%, the future. But at least what we know, we have to take care of that. If we don't take care of that, then we are at fault. So improving business resilience is that by anticipating everything that can go wrong and be prepared that if this goes wrong, what is my next action? For example, when pandemic happened, it was like the first thing. Everyone who is alive today, 2019, 20, when the pandemic struck this world, nobody had imagined a situation where the whole world is locked up for 2 weeks interiors and the wild animals come into the cities. But there were only 11% of the Fortune 500 who had, that kind of a strong BCP. They did not know COVID, but they visualized something of that sort can happen, by which this site is inaccessible, people are inaccessible, and they had prepared themselves so that they could somehow operate, in that. When you say economic constituent of a BCP is that any organization can face a sudden cash crunch or the money liquidity. So you have to ensure the finance department, and that is where the finance inputs come here. They will be the ones who will give the input to the BCP team, which is a central team for the organization. Like what happens in this case, what if in case scenario. It is the HR department's prerogative, and their inputs will go into the business continuity plan to say that if suddenly there is a strike in the workmen, what will I do? Like some people are there, in every company there will be 1 or 2 people, who are blue-eyed boys of the management. Like they are the people, like nothing can go wrong to them. I'm sure you all will relate to such people. So such people, so strike is for the labor class and all that, but for the intellectual level, at higher level, there are some important people. For example, if they leave, then this is the part of the BCP of the senior management, that they should give input to this BCP committee and the team to that. These are the people who are currently holding extremely important positions. They are skilled people. for doing their respective roles. And what will I do in case if they leave suddenly without information or anything, or with notice, whatever? The business should not suffer, right? So the business can never be depending overly on only one or two individuals. So what you do is, first is select a business continuity team and prepare a policy. It cannot be a shared responsibility of some employee while he is doing his job. Like take two people from finance, one from procurement, one from HR, and make a business continuity. No, it doesn't happen. There has to be a person dedicated for this. This business continuity team will go to every department and first take a list of all the processes they have, and then they will ask their particular department that please rate among these processes which are the most important ones for you. Every process cannot be important. If every process is important, rate which is very important, or like VVIP. For every process, whenever if there is a problem, or the company will be basically concerned and worried about these four things. One is reputation, second is the financial aspect, third is the statutory regulation, and fourth is the customer satisfaction. For every important process that has been identified, what is the recovery objective and the recovery time? This is done with the consultation with the business. Here the business continuity team, they will not be ever dictating anything to the base department or the core department. So every BCP has to be tested periodically. Unless you test the BCP, it is of no use. It is like having a gun to be used in emergencies, but you don't know whether it will fire or not. So you have to keep firing the gun every 6 months or 1 year to ensure that when in real case, real emergency, it fires. Otherwise you don't know. For example, if a site is down and you have another site, there the employees, if they are required to go from building A instead of that to building B, then it becomes a responsibility of the company to ensure that they are well taken care of in the other site. So that responsibility is of the logistics and transportation team. See how detailed the plan goes. I mean, it doesn't happen that suddenly you declare that okay, all come to the building B, and then leave them as it is. Then what will happen? The people will not be there, they will not function properly. So whenever the facility is changed, facility management also got a double task. One is to ensure that the facilities are provided, the provision of housekeeping, security and all that at the new place, plus restoration of the existing site. That whose job it is? It is facility management job. We are the people who will restore the existing facility. Like communication is very important in a disaster, and only people who are authorized are supposed to communicate. Everyone can't go out, and there will be disciplinary action if somebody says out of the term. So now companies having strong BCP. In India there are certain companies who have got a very strong BCP. This is just for information. So the first one is Tata Consultancy Services, TCS. Second is Infosys, HDFC Bank, Reliance Industries, Aditya Birla Group, ITC Limited. I don't know if anything is, yes, Dr. Reddy's Laboratories. So now we will come to the companies which did not have a strong BCP worldwide, and what are the case studies, what happened, what are the problems because of that. So the Lehman Brothers, we all know the crisis, financial crisis of 2008, when the entire world went into some kind of a recession. The second is the British Petroleum Deepwater Horizon oil spill of 2010. Many of you might be aware, there was a huge spill of oil. Millions of gallons of oil, crude oil, petroleum oil was in the oceans, and that became a big ecological and environmental disaster. The next three are the cyber attacks. So Sony is the big electronic giant in Japan. So their PlayStation network outage of 2011. Next again, this is a target, is one of the retailer in US, big retailer, the data breach. I think around 40 million credit card and debit card data and 70 million customers data. When you say about the data, it is about their phone number, their email ID, their addresses, which are very sensitive. And lastly, Equifax, it is one of the credit rating agencies. Now imagine, credit rating agencies in US, which is supposed to rate the credit worthiness of people. And their data was breached in 2017, and again several people. And this is like credit rating. For assessing a credit rating, they need to have a lot of information.